Hey, y'all. It's JJ Conway. I'm here with my friend Camille Thomas, and I'm super excited to introduce to you our fall edition of Think and Grow Rich. This is a foundational book that will change the way you think about money and about life. Let me just allow our, two things. One, we're broadcasting on my pages and Camille's pages. So before we get into our chapter today and our kickoff, let me just tell Camille's audience a little bit about who I am, and then we'll ask Camille to tell my audience a little bit about who she is. All right. So my name is JJ Conway. And I am the founder of Conway Financial Group, LLC. We help educate people to increase their wealth. We help them dump debt, build wealth, and leave a legacy. And we do that primarily through education in entrepreneurship, corporate success, and investing without debt. And so that's me in a quick nutshell. Camille, why don't you tell everybody about you?
Hi, my name is Camille Thomas, and I am the president of Aspire to Grow Higher. This really is about resilience and leadership, building resilient leaders and teams. So that's what I really focus on, helping people to understand each other, communication styles, resilience through whatever crises they may be, facing, and how to really use those as instead of stumbling, blocks and things like that. Stepping stones to get your organization back together, healthy and moving forward, mission accomplished. So
Yes.
that's a little bit about me.
All right. Well, I'm super excited to be working with you today. And for those of you who don't know me or aren't familiar with Think and Grow Rich, this is one of those groundbreaking books that has really been pivotal in my life. I was first exposed to Think and Grow Rich when I took Sherman Ragland's Going in Motion real estate investment class. He made us buy all of these books. And they were thought leader books, things on negotiation, things on, how to turn $1,000 into $1 million. I mean, all of these classics on wealth building. And one of those was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And you'll if you have access to the course that we're doing, you have already seen the video where I will say, I admit up front, I didn't retain everything I needed to from that book way back then, but I retained enough. And like Camille said with her business, we're moving you forward one step at a time. I want to encourage you wherever you are in your wealth building journey or wherever you are in your relationship or your health goals journey, take it one step at a time. The step we're going to talk about today, it is the foundational step to everything else that you're going to find out about in Think and Grow Rich. So we're going to turn now to chapter 2. If you don't have the book, that's okay. But if you're like me and you like to follow on with the text, I encourage you to go out to buildingwealthtogether.com, click on the tagger, Think and Grow Rich link, and it'll give you a link to Amazon where you can buy the book. If you buy into the full course, then you will get the downloadable version of the book. So then you don't have to buy anything else. All right. Well, we're going to turn to the chapter on desire tonight. That's where we're going to be going. And really, I'm telling you, it is absolutely one of my favorite chapters. I mean, I find it's almost like what scripture is your favorite. Like I think every chapter in the book is my favorite, right? Like whatever chapter I'm on in the moment, that's the one that's my favorite. Like, oh, this is so good. But also, desire has always been one of my favorites, and I hope it becomes one of your favorites too.
Yes. It's just like been crazy fun kind of going through the book, kind of really approaching it, exploring it, teaching it from our departure point, which we'll talk about, and making sure that it's congruent with our arrival point, where we want to go. So where we are right now and where we want to go. And then we're also looking at our competing commitments at our departure point. And a lot of times we don't take the time to really reflect on that. What is competing with what we really want and where we really want to go?
And I love that because that's what we're talking about with desire. We're talking about matching our thinking, matching our feeling tone, matching our behavior in our current place of being with the good that we desire. And that's really what this whole study is about as we look at Think and Grow Rich. So we're not necessarily studying the principle desire, right? We're studying how to apply these principles from the awareness. And so, what I want us to do is we're going to go ahead and turn in here to lines 9 and 10. Now, if you have my version on Amazon, it's going to have the numbered lines there. So you'll be able to follow along and you'll be able to quickly jump to wherever we're on. So we're in chapter 2. It's actually page 33 in my edition, but it is lines 9 and 10. He says he's telling this is a story about Edwin Barnes, and he had this homeless appearance, right? And so he goes to Thomas Edison, and he is like, I have this desire that I am going to work with Edison, right? It was like a burning desire for his life. And it says here in verse 9 and 10, Burns' desire is not a hope. It was not a wish. It was a keen, pulsating desire which transcended everything else. It was definite. It was definite. And so for me, when I think about that, you know, I gotta tell you, when I've read this book throughout the years, until recently, I was in a huge place of struggle. And I imagine that my appearance when I showed up to try and work with people who were of high level and high success was probably not much better than Edwin Barnes. You know, when you're $845,000 in debt, you know, you're so frustrated, and you think you've got this and you think you've got that and you think you want it with all your heart, but then you get somebody like this that says, well, that's not really what it was. And if you really desired it, you would get it. And I'm thinking, I really desire to get out of $845,000 of debt. Wouldn't you desire to? I really desire to give my son more than one toy car, one little cheap dollar store car for Christmas, right? And so the thing is, I had it wrong. And I think a lot of us today have it wrong. I think a lot of us are sitting in hope, but at the same time, we don't believe. And so if we look at our departure point, like Camille mentioned earlier, the departure point and the vibration of hope is here, but then what's going on deep inside was this hope that this will work, this hope that this will work, this hope that what Sherman was telling me was going to work, that I was going to be able to make this money, this hope that this was going to work. But you know what, deep down inside, I did not believe that it was really going to work for me. And I thought that wanting money and wanting success was enough, but that's not what he's talking about here. Because $800,000 of debt, I sure enough wanted some more money. But the thing is, what I created wasn't the belief that I was going to have and achieve. I created the belief of want, and I was coming from a position of scarcity. Somebody once time, one of my mentors one time said I had a PhD in want. And I thought, back then, I don't know if anybody ever been through something. I thought that my want was good enough, right? Like just my being in this place of hungry. You know how Les Brown says you got to be hungry. Oh, I was hungry, all right, bouncing around from store to store trying to find something to eat for free, right? I was hungry. But being in this place of want, nobody wants this more than me. Maybe you felt that way, where you just really want it so bad. And that's the energy. God want it so bad. But guess what? Guess what?
Not enough. It's not enough. And that's why this chapter, the name of it is Desire and not Want.
That's right. That's right.
It's like
you knew where I was going with that.
Absolutely. Like desire and want, two totally different things. And in this study, I really, really came to understand the word want. And more importantly, I came to understand the signature, the energy signature of the word want. It's like we want something, right? That means we're kind of like in a place of lacking, deficiency. You know what I mean? I want this, meaning I don't have it. Our vibration is lack and deficiency. I want it, but I don't have it. I want it, but I don't have it. That's lack and deficiency. And I keep repeating that for a reason. And then to be in a place of like lack and deficiency, it's a place of want. It's not to have, but desire is much deeper than that. Desire goes way beyond that. It's that thing like when you wanted it so long that it turns into this all-consuming obsession. Have you ever had
Mhm.
something like that, JJ, where you wanted it so bad, like you dreamed it, you spoke it, you ate it, you drank it. Everything was all about
Everything.
this desire that you had, all-consuming desire. And there's really a difference between I want it and I really gotta have it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Desire, it just really comes alive when your want dies. Want is just, I mean, it's just kind of like a wish, you know? Oh, I wish I had that. But it's not like I have to do everything to get this. So I want you guys to stay with me for a little bit right now. We're going to unpack it a little bit more. So I want you to go to line 11 through 14. So 11 through 14 reads, the desire was not new when he approached Edison. It was it had been Barnes's dominating desire for a long time. In the beginning, when the desire first appeared in his mind, it may have been, probably was only a wish, but it was no mere wish when he appeared before Edison with it. And as I got this, reading this story about Barnes and his desire, it was like in the beginning, he just was like, okay, it may have appeared that way in his mind that I just want to work with Edison. But by the time he met with Edison, it was totally different. He had it so long. In the first stages, of this energy, it was just that wish. But then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, the
Mhm.
more he thought about it, he was like, you know what? I don't just want this. I desire this. It evolved. It became much deeper, so much a part of him that he just could not let it go. So even in that, I want you to ask yourself, are you really in your current departure point? If you were really honest, are you really at desire? Is it something that you really desire in life to have? Or are you still at that stage where you're kind of like, I want these things, but you're still coming from a place of lack and deficiency? Like, if I don't get it, then oh well, not that I have to have it, that all consuming desire to have that thing that you want.
Mhm. Mhm. And that key difference there, because when we're walking in want, we're walking in scarcity.
Yes.
And when we're walking in desire, now we're walking in intensity. And that intensity is what we're really talking about here in this whole chapter. And so if we look down here at lines 22 and 23, it says Barnes succeeded because he chose a definite goal, placed all his energy, all his willpower, all his effort, everything everything back of that goal, everything. He didn't, it wasn't just I want it when I don't feel like sitting up front of the TV, and it wasn't just I want it except for when the alarm clock goes off and I want to hit snooze. And it wasn't just I want it except that when it's time to go to the gym, because I know to achieve what I want, I need to take care of my body. Well, then I don't want to go anywhere. No, I don't want it anymore. Right? This is an all consuming desire. It was all of his energy. His goal was to work with Edison. He put everything of him into it. And now that's when we're talking about intensity. It's what we're unpacking here. I hope you understand that this is energy. Okay. And in physics, they have a very interesting concept. When you're in undergrad physics, they have different things that they teach. But once you get into graduate, you understand that everything is energy, and you understand that light is energy and matter is energy. And it's just the way that the energy presents itself. And for us, our energy presents itself. If I'm walking in that vibration of want, then that scarcity is what energy I'm walking in. It's what energy I'm giving out, and it's what energy I'm getting back. And but when I'm walking in the energy and the vibration of desire, now I'm having that intensity, and I'm getting that intensity back. Turn the page with me for a second. If you've got a copy of the book, I probably need to get a bigger workspace here, so I'm not so working around the computer. But just turn with me here. It says it's a remarkable illustration of the power of a definite desire. See, and actually, if you go up to 30, for years, this guy who appeared in front of Edison looking like a homeless tramp, okay, for years in his mind, he was the partner of Edison. I mean, from the very first moment that he sought after Edison, the very first moment he showed up, he may have had the outward appearance, but the inward energy was desire and it was intensity. And so we drop down here. He says it's a remarkable illustration of the power of a definite desire. And Mr. And Barnes won his goal because he wanted to become a business association of Mr. Edison more than he wanted everything else. Now here's the thing here's the thing we say we want it more than everything else. But look what he did here. He created a plan by which to attain that purpose, but he burned all bridges behind him. He burned all bridges behind him. He stood by his desire until it became the dominating obsession of his life, and then finally a fact. Okay? There's a difference between wanting a thing and having a specific purpose with a definite plan, and you're working the plan and your plan and your work and your effort and your focus, and that purpose becomes an all-consuming obsession, a dominating obsession. And so this is different than, well, I really want that, I really need it, I'm so frustrated, well, nobody wants it more than me. That's different. It's different. Everybody wants more. Everybody wants wealth. Everybody wants, it's not, I don't doubt that anybody listening or watching today, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching this after the fact, I don't doubt that you want it. But my question is it an all-consuming obsession? And for me, being a person of faith, that concept of something in our lives being an all-consuming obsession, if I'm honest, that was a little tough for me, and I certainly didn't have that focus, because for me, my all-consuming obsession is to make it to heaven and to bring as many people along with me as I want. But when I began to realize that the goals and things in my heart were aligned with that obsession of making it to heaven, then it began to become that desire. But until then, how many of you have done this? I would go and spurt. I would start and stop, start my blog. 2 weeks later, oh, I'm sorry, everybody. I got sick, or I got this, or I got that. I'm restarting. Oh, I'm doing the reboot. Come on, y'all, come along with me for the refresh. I'd go 10 steps forward and 7 back. And it's not that we don't want it, right? It's not that we don't want it, but wanting it is not enough. You really have to go beyond want. You have to go beyond the energy of want.
Absolutely. I just thought about that when you were saying that whole, just talking about burning the bridges behind them. We hear all too often, like, don't burn no bridges. Make sure you don't burn any bridges when you're doing things. But it was when I really got it. When I saw those lines 40 through 48 for the first time, and we're going to talk about it in just a minute. But I had to stop and say, am I at the level of intensity that I would burn every bridge to get what I want, what I desire, that thing that's in my heart, that I couldn't let go of? When people were like, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. Make sure you have plan A, B, C, and D. And I was like, you know what? I don't want that to be my plan A, B, C, and D. I want it to be like my plan Z, double A, B, all that, because I didn't want to go back to where I came from. But, while we're here, let's go to lines 40 through 48. And so I'm going to read it really, really quickly here. It says, he did not say, I will work there for a few months, and if I get no encouragement, I will quit and get a job somewhere else. He did say, I will start anywhere. I will do anything Edison tells me to do. But before I'm through, I will be his associate. And I'm going to stop right there real quick, because I underlined a couple of things. It says he did not say, I'll work there for a few months, and if I get no encouragement, I'll quit. He says, I will start anywhere. I will start is what I put under there. I will do. I will be. That was so powerful for me, because it's not just saying, I think I'm going to. No, he says, I will start, I will do, I will be. Then go on to 44. It says, he did not say, I will keep my eyes open for another opportunity in case I fail to get what I want in the Edison organization. He said, there is but one thing in this world that I'm determined to have, and that is a business association with Thomas A. Edison. I will burn all bridges behind me and stake my entire future on my ability to get what I want. I remember talking to a couple of people who were saying that, they wanted some things. And I'm just going to go to something simple. I need to pay off this debt. And they got money here and there. You know what I'm saying? It may not have been the full amount, but any person I believe that really desires to pay down their debt, JJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but they would apply whatever little bit that they have to that principle in order to
Mm-hmm.
pay it down, because
Mm-hmm.
it comes with some sort of sacrifice if it's
That's
something
right.
you really desire, burning those bridges. But I know a lot of people's mentality was, oh, well, since I don't have it all at one time, I'm just not going to do anything. That's a totally different mindset. It's not that I want, I desire to pay off my debt because I don't want to have this debt hanging over my. It's just I want to do it if it comes, if I get it all at one time. The thousands of dollars of debt that people are in. I know you work with in finances and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
people will never, ever, ever get it if they only have the want rather than the desire. They'll keep spending that money somewhere else. So I had to ask my question too. Myself a question, and I'm asking you all, are you ready to really turn it up a notch? Like, would you really, really, really stake your entire fortune on the thing that you desire?
That's right.
And I'm just going to give you a short story real quick. When I retired from the Air Force, I decided to retire. I thought I had it all planned out, but God saw differently for me for whatever reason. And I had pretty much secured a job, and it was going to be making good money, and it was doing exactly what I love, which was teaching and facilitating leadership, resilience, that type of thing. But I just had like this gut feeling, like this desire to do more. It wasn't that that job wasn't good enough. I just wanted to do so much more. And then I heard in my spirit that I wasn't supposed to take that job. And I was like, ooh. And then I kept hearing, if I trust God, He would take care of me. And I kept hearing in my spirit, God got you. God got you. I got you. I
That's
got
right.
you.
That's right.
And I kept hearing it over and over. So then when the retirement was final, these things had fallen into place. But I got several phone calls asking me, to take this 9 to 5. But I kept hearing in my spirit, trust me, I got you. I got you. And before I retired, there was a couple other people that came to me and said the same thing. They were like, you know what? You've done enough. God's got you. Leave this behind. Somebody else was like, I think you missed your call. And I said, nope, I'm about to walk into it, because I heard that in my spirit, my intuition. God was talking to me. And I declined every offer that was given to me.
Mm-hmm.
I had nothing, y'all. Okay. I had absolutely nothing. I'm a single mother. I have a limited income, but I decided to risk it all and bet on me and bet on God. God was first. I heard Him tell me what He said, and I trusted that. And I also knew that I was in a season of learning and preparing. I couldn't do
Mm-hmm.
what God had for me where I was at. So I had to sit back and do some things. Could I have done well? Of course I could have. You know what I mean? It's something that I loved and that I did well. But can I do better as I go through the process? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I knew I wasn't going to be an overnight success story. I kept hearing 3 to 5 years in my spirit, but I also know I heard God telling me, I got you. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
decided to trust Him and trust me. And let me tell you, I still don't have a 9 to 5. That's what I say. I don't have a 9 to 5, you know, but I have more money in the bank than I did when I was working at 9 to 5. You know what I mean?
That's
I
right.
said when I was active duty, I have more money in my savings than I did when I was there. And that's real talk. Um, I also chose to give up what I did have. And then I invested in myself. So I took what I had and started investing in me, because I heard what God told me and I knew I was in a season of preparation, you know? So all that I've invested didn't necessarily, reflect in my bank account, but I haven't missed a single mortgage payment. I have, like I said, more than I had before. Everything is paid. I'm able to travel. My kids are adjusted well. They're not missing anything, and I have not missed a beat. And a lot of people say, well, you have a pension, disability. You're lucky you don't have anything to worry about. Um, Not really all the case, but I'm still a single mother. I have a high
That's right.
schooler, a theater geek at home, a band geek. You know what I mean? I have things that I have to take out too. But it wasn't about me being lucky. I
That's
was
right.
willing to risk it all to go run after my dream.
That's
Like
right.
literally. I knew I needed money. I knew I had to sacrifice, for niceties or whatever and necessities, but I was willing to go without some things so I can have what I truly desire. And I'm working hard. I'm preparing. Things are coming. God is blessing. And I don't get anything for nothing, but my desire is to fulfill my purpose, and that desire is so strong that I had to burn some bridges along the
That's
way
right.
so that I couldn't go back.
That's right.
Okay. I did not want to go back. It was like the song Mary Mary sings, I can't give up now. Come too
Mm-hmm.
far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy, and I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. So I had to play to win. If you just kind of want something, you don't make those types of decisions just to leave everything behind to burn all your bridges. You don't bet your future on it from a place of want. And that's the difference. I
That's
truly
the difference.
desire what God has for me. And so some bridges had to be burned.
That's right. That's right. And that's the difference. And it's that trust. Our stories are so similar, and I dropped my retirement papers, and then 2 weeks after I dropped my retirement papers, everything closes down for the pandemic, and it takes them 4 months to approve it because what was in front of me is everybody else who put their retirement papers in were withdrawing their retirements, and so they had to process all those cases, and I'm sure there's more that went into it. But it was just one of those moments. I remember that moment when my supervisor and my coworkers were like, do you really want to retire in the middle of a pandemic? We're not hiring. And I was like, and I felt it in my soul as clear as anything. I was like, I told them, I said, people still need to be encouraged. They need to be encouraged now more than ever. And I've got to go do what I'm called to do. And I didn't know where that was coming from. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been walking with the Lord for a long time. But in that moment, I knew I had to take that step of faith, and I have not lacked for anything. Now, I may not always have everything that other people or highfalutin have, but I tell you what, I ain't got hungry at all.
That part.
And my children, like you said, my children lack for nothing. And I like to think that my husband lacks for nothing either. And our family is so much more cohesive. And I think about these principles playing out. What did I want to have? Well, this is this year's, but it was very similar last year. What did I want to have by the end of the year? I had it. And when I wrote out these goals for this year, the desire was so strong that by March of this year, I literally had accomplished almost every goal on this list. I had spoken on the stage with George Fraser and shared the stage with Les Brown and done all of these things. And then it was like, I got to come up with some new goals. So I want to encourage you today. If you are walking in your purpose, you cannot fail, especially if you continue to remember who you are and whose you are. I'm not going to ever tell somebody just quit your job and just jump out there with no savings or anything like that. But sometimes that's the leap of faith you got to take. And that's different for everybody. I walked away from a very nice paycheck. The higher in rank you go, the more money you make, and the harder it is to walk away. You don't get those extra bennies, and that retirement pay. Yes, I get a retirement pay, but man, whoo. And then that disability, they messing around so much with everybody's disability. We're not gonna go into all of that today because I have not lacked for nothing. And in fact, if anything, my life has elevated. And people can look around and they'll see. And I'm gonna tell you, let's look at this. In his life, he had this burning desire. He wasn't going to let anything stop him. And that's the way I feel about my life, my family, my business, my ministry, my calling. I am not letting anything stop me. And it says here in verse, sorry, y'all. It says here in line 49, he left himself no possible way of retreat. He had to win or perish. When I made that decision, I was not going to withdraw my papers to retire like everybody else was doing. And then they said, we're not going to renew your clearance. And all of the dominoes fell in place. I was like, okay, Lord, I can't go back. The bridges are burned. I can't go back. I have to do this. I have to trust you. And he left himself no way to go back, because when you play it safe, that's hope. And hope is good. I'm not trying to say don't have hope. I mean, some of us grew up with no hope, and that's why we haven't gotten further, because we just didn't think it was possible, okay? But what I think that happens for most of us, excuse me, is we overestimate the risk of what's out there, and we underestimate our potential.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say that again. I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back. Most people overestimate the risk and underestimate their potential. And it is time out for you underestimating your potential. Let me tell you something. If somebody's paying you to do a job, they're only paying you to do that job because they expect that they're making more money off of you doing that job. See, you are an investment for them. They're paying you $100 to do that job because they know you doing that job for them is going to make them 300, 500, 1,000.
Yes.
It's time out for underestimating your potential. Now, me and Camille, if you haven't seen it yet, you got to watch this lesson. We previously recorded this lesson on the myth of risk, and what we taught in that lesson is that risk is really only a perception. See, risk only exists when we perceive ourselves as lacking resource. See, when I'm not aware of our resources that I have been equipped with, then I'm worried and I'm scared and I don't want to rock the boat and I'm afraid to take a chance. And all that old programming comes back to me. That bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, and don't strive, those things. But the moment we become aware of our resources, the risk evaporates. So when my boss comes to me and says, "Are you sure you want to retire?" I did not have to doubt for not one moment because I didn't see it as a risk. It was not a risk. Was it a little new? Was it a little uncomfortable? Sure it was, but it wasn't a risk. Because at that point, I had been through this study that you're going through right now. I had been through these concepts and I had seen them playing out in my life. And I knew that the Lord wouldn't have brought me to it if He wasn't going to bring me through it. And I knew that this was going to be what He put on my heart. And if He put it on my heart and in my awareness, He was going to fully resource and equip me to accomplish all that He has called me to do.
Preach.
Well, I
Preach.
just needed to be aware of it. Now, did I know how I was going to do it? No, I didn't know how I was going to do it. Ain't nobody was hiring. Nobody was paying for training. Nobody was. Some of y'all now. We're on two audiences today. We're on like two of Camille's platforms and 8 of my platforms, and we're just broadcasting to the whole world today. But for those of you who know me, you saw me when COVID hit for like almost a year teaching without charging nothing because I was trying to be a blessing. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I didn't care. I had come to learn through courses like this. I had come to learn that I don't have to know how, and I don't have to be attached to the how. And I'm at a point now where I don't even stress about the how as much as I used to because I know that the how will show up.
Yes.
I know that the money will show up. I know that the expertise I need will show up. When I get an idea, oh, I'm going to have a gospel tailgate. And my friends are like, well, what's a gospel tailgate? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to have one. We gonna go to that football game and we're going to get some burgers and we're going to play some gospel music. And then those children are going to get blessed. And
I love it.
they're like, have you ever done anything like that? I said, I don't know. I've never done nothing like that before, but it dropped in my spirit. And do you know the caterer came around and the person at the college came around and the person who's done college ministry came around. I said, oh, there it is.
Yes.
And so do we need to worry? Do we need to talk about how things will work out? Sure we do. But I want to tell you right now, don't let not knowing the details and the how keep you from pursuing your dream.
Yes.
Yes, we're going to talk about the possibilities, but it's never a requirement for you to move forward in the direction of your purpose. Never.
Ooh. Ooh, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love the whole thing when an idea comes, you have everything that you need. You're fully resourced to carry that thing out. I loved, you don't have to know the second step to make the first step.
That's right.
Because you'll never get to the second step if you don't take the first step.
That's right.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And I also kind of want to look at it, talking about that. in terms of line 60, we'll go to 60 to 62. It says, every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn his ships and cut all resources to retreat. Going back to the thing I was talking about earlier, only by doing so can one be sure of maintaining that state of mind known as a burning desire to win, essential to success. When I was thinking about this, just that whole burning your ships, and we try to play it safe so much. We always want, a way to retreat back to what's comfortable, what we already know. But aren't we tired of that? We have this burning desire to do something different, but we keep making these escape routes to go right back to the same old thing that we used to be in, that we were
Mm-hmm.
running from and trying to get away from in the first place. And it's like, if you're gonna win, you have to cut it off. You have to burn those ships. You have to cut off every form of retreat so that you don't have a choice but to win. A lot of people will say, I'm willing, I'm willing, I'm willing, I'm willing, I'm willing to burn
Say it.
my bridges, you know what I'm saying? But they really haven't made a big enough bet on their lives to burn anything.
That's right.
They're coming from that lack again. They want
Mm-hmm.
to know that second step before they go, because I don't know what's going to happen. I want to play it safe. I'm not sure. Not willing to truly bet on themselves. And what keeps people from doing that? I did it myself. But what keeps people from burning those bridges and cutting off those forms of retreat is that they really play small.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
had to look at that in myself. I was like, I played small for so long.
For so
I wanted
long,
to
we
play
both
it
did.
safe. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. I didn't want to stand out amongst the crowd. I didn't want to be, the target, so to speak. If I
Mm-hmm.
opened up, I spoke some things or whatever, people would come. They would come at me. They would try to attack my character. So I didn't want to do it.
That's
So I
right.
wanted to
That's
play
right.
small. I wanted to play safe. But if you're wanting to win, and I realize that sometimes you just got to take a chance on you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Mm-hmm.
stand up boldly. You have to cut off those forms of retreat. And only then can you be sure that maintaining that, that mindset, that state of
Mm-hmm.
mind, that burning desire, that if you do all of that, there is no going back. You have to succeed in whatever you're going to do. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
remember, and this is a little bit off, but I remember my friends used to say, Camille, how do you always get what you want? And it was a time that I didn't understand these concepts, but I just knew that if I thought about something hard enough, if I started like Barnes, he says, I'm starting, I'm doing, I'm being, and I would just do the things that were necessary to get that. It just came. My girlfriends used to be like, girl, you get anything and anybody you want. Like, can you bottle some of that up, put it in a jar and sell it? you know. But but what I didn't understand was it really was the burning desire that I had for whatever it was. Whatever place that I wanted to be in, whatever state that I wanted to be in, whoever I wanted to be connected to. I had
Mm-hmm.
this burning desire, that energy that aligned. And I had to also remember too that sometimes, that good and bad too. But I would always get the thing that I wanted. I didn't understand the power of it at the time.
Right. Right. Right.
And,
Right.
I didn't do that. But again, I had this burning desire to win. I always said I was very, very competitive. But, like I'm saying, it's good and bad. One of the most dangerous things for a person to do is, when they have say somebody's jumping off a ledge or something. The worst
Mm-hmm.
thing they can do is jump if they're not high enough.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So you got to go out way up on a limb. And when you jump, you have to have enough space for that chute to deploy to get you
Mm-hmm.
safely where you need to be. Because if you're too low, guess what? Boop, you're going to fall. You're going to hurt
Mm-hmm.
yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it don't have too much space for it to go, for that thing to catch the air up under it.
Yep. Yep.
It's
Exactly.
safer. You know what I mean? It's safer. But you don't want to jump when it's too late because that's dangerous. You jump, or I mean, you don't have so far to go, it's safer, you think. But again, when you have that chute on you, it's not so safe because it's not enough wind underneath that chute to get you where you need to be. So I'm just gonna say that I think that the reason people fail a lot is because they play smart. Again, it may
Yes.
seem safer for you to jump from a lower place. It may seem that way, but it's actually a lot more dangerous. They don't dream big enough. That dream never requires them to really get to that deep level of intensity that you were talking about, that burning desire. You never have to go there. It's like drinking lukewarm tea. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
really likes lukewarm tea, but it's safe. It's not cold. It's not going to burn your mouth. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that you can just kind of sip on. But you don't have to risk anything. Again, you don't have to risk it being too cold or burning your lip or anything like that. It just is.
No
And a lot
risk,
of
no
people's
reward.
dreams are like that. Yeah, they just don't, it doesn't require them to burn any bridges. It doesn't take them to an all consuming burning desire to get what they want. They don't ever go and, play in the big risk pool because we've been taught that, again, we play it safe. But by not playing it safe, by playing it safe and not taking that risk, we never know how far we can go. We never are able to experience the growth that comes out of taking risks, the
Mm-hmm.
growth that comes out of doing whatever it is that's necessary to have what you want and to be what you want to be. So, again, you guys, I'm going to ask you, are you in a place of want and not all consuming, burning obsession because you've set your goal too low? A lot of times we do that, again, setting that goal too low.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, have you made that big bet on you?
That's right.
When was the last time you made that big bet on you? When was the last time you put yourself in an environment that would challenge you to play a bigger game? You know what I'm saying? I had to step out of my little comfort zone and say, you know what? Again, if God brings it to me, He has fully equipped me
That's
to
right.
do whatever it is. Doesn't matter what size the stage is or what size the field is. If He called me to it, I have everything that I need to
Yes.
get through it. Everything that I need. So,
Everything.
yeah. So I'm just saying, I know some people, they don't want that challenge. A lot of people don't want to put themselves out there, potentially embarrass yourself. But then there's some people that, says, oh, I've been through this. I heard these concepts. I didn't want to do it. Might have been 2-3 years ago. And then finally there, you know what? They say, you know what? I've been playing small for so long. But
Mm-hmm.
now I'm finally getting it. It took me quite a few times to get it to. Like I said, I didn't quite understand it. Some of you guys may have done it, even this study 2 or 3 times. I know JJ has done it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
But most people really don't even put in the work, not even the first time. So
Not even the first time.
not even the
And it
first
reminds
time.
me, it reminds me of my son. He's made a mental shift this year, and he made the A team for his football, for football JV. He's a sophomore. But last year he was on freshman B team, and I was like, well, if you would have played full out, you would have been able to be on the top team. He said, oh no, mom, I want to be the top person on a poor team. And I was like, that is not how you develop your potential. But if you stop and think about it, that's how a lot of us are going through life. We deliberately cap ourselves. We
Yes.
deliberately cap our own potential because we know that we feel that there is a risk in moving forward and jumping out there and really chasing that dream and having that intensity. And we don't want to take that risk. And so we set our bar low and we just don't move forward. But
You
it's
don't.
time to move forward. It's time to challenge everything that you have been allowing. And I'm not saying you're not successful because you're successful enough to know you need to be in this study, right? So I'm not saying you're not successful. I was successful. I was pretty successful. I had some qualifications behind my name before I ever heard of this book. I had some accolades to my name, right? But I wasn't whole and I wasn't confident and I wasn't willing to take those chances and I wasn't really trusting that when the Lord brought that idea to me that he was going to equip me and fulfill what he wanted in my life.
Um, that's really, really, really,
Can you
really
tell how excited I
good.
am about these concepts? I'm like, these are the things that changed my life. And
Absolutely.
that's something that you made the comment on. You made the comment about how sometimes we knew we were doing it, but we didn't know we were doing it. What is that called? A unconscious competent?
Right.
You did it, but you didn't know what you were doing. And because you didn't know what you were doing, yeah, you got what you wanted, but you didn't know how to replicate and duplicate that. I was always a very determined person. You weren't going to tell me no in my career. I was going to get it done. That's why I was so good at cleaning up shop, right? But
Yeah.
but I didn't know what I was doing. So when the trouble came and the self-doubt came and the fear came, I
Yes.
didn't know how to rise above. And what we're equipping you with today will help you to rise above.
Yes, absolutely. And when you're talking about that, and your son just kind of uh being in that safe space, or not trying to get, or us trying to get you to rise above. I think it was Barbara Little said, stop trying to create a new you around the same old people.
Yep, yep,
Sometimes
yep, yep.
you have to get out of that space. You have to stop trying to create a new you around the same old thinking. We're
Mhm.
trying to get you to rise out of that same place, to go further, to go higher. But we still try to do it in the same spaces that we're in, around the same people that have the same old dreams and the same old goals that they still haven't even, achieved or anything like that. But you can't keep trying to create a new you. So we really want you to grow past that. And then you have to say, kind of, you have to replant yourself sometimes, to transform yourself. You have to be the one that gets up and moves out. You can't expect those people to go. So my question really for you on this chapter of desire is, does your departure point, where you're at, match playing it safe or playing it big?
That's right.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go from here? Do
Where do
you
you want to
want to
go?
be around the same people trying to create the new? Those people are going to keep you back. They're going to tell you who you are. They're going to tell you what you can do and what you can't do. But you can't. You have to sometimes get. What was that thing I posted the other day, JJ? It says, sometimes elevation requires separation or isolation.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
you have to get out of where you are and get in the big leagues so that you again can see something different to help transform yourself into something else. It's hard to be a whole different person in the same environment that you've been growing in.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And that I think you gave me this quote actually by Les Brown that said most people fail not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. And for a lot of us, we've been aiming too low and we don't even know how. It's almost like a muscle that is just withered away inside us because we haven't been using it. But one of the things that I look at when I go through this book and I look at the steps to building wealth. We look at desire, the starting point of all achievement, the first step toward riches, faith, visualization, the second step toward riches, auto suggestion, specialized knowledge. We go through all of these steps. I don't see a step in here. I don't see a step in here that says, "Can you do that?"
Mm-mm.
Evaluate whether or not you can do that. It's not in there. That's not one of the steps here. It doesn't say, well, check it out and decide and analyze it and do, a 4-page spreadsheet on whether or not this is possible and maybe it's reasonable and maybe if you had the time or the money. Or none of that's in here. It doesn't
Yep.
say wait for your mom to approve or wait for your family. Now you got a mom on here who's approving, but some of us today, we let our family members stifle our dream. I'll never forget the day I was about to go to the desert and I was leaving for Qatar, and my mom just happened to be visiting. And she's 2 days before I leave, she's like, "Yeah, you're wasting your life. You don't have a calling." Okay, I could have let that stop me. And some of you today, you have let people speak negativity into your life. But these steps, these steps, these steps say nothing about family and friends supporting you. It doesn't say here, well, you can only move forward if your mom thinks if your mom's on board. Now that was years ago. I think my mom's opinion has changed since, but back then I was wasting my life in their view. I was taking my big physics brain and my big this and big that, all this, and I was throwing that away to go off and pursue encouraging people and ministering to people. But you know what? There's nothing in here that says make sure your timing's right. Make sure you got all the pieces in place. Step 7.B doesn't say gather all the pieces. It doesn't say that. It's not in here. It's not in here. And so I'm here to tell you, you don't need that.
Yes.
What you need is a burning desire and being very clear about what it is you are called to do, what it is you want to do, what it is you were designed to do. Oh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm
That's so
encouraging my
good,
own self
JJ.
today.
When you were saying that, I just really thought about, we do things according to other people. But it really is about the conviction that we have. Is my voice louder than everybody else's? Is the thing that I desire so much stronger than everybody else's desire for me? You could have listened, like you said, to your mom and said you wasn't going to be or whatever, but there was a something in you that says, you know what? I
Mm,
know that this is the right thing for me. I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I know what I need for my journey, and a lot of people are not, they don't listen to their own conviction. You know, is that departure point energy conviction? Is it that I will have it now? Or is it I just want it? Are you truly, truly convinced about the thing that you want to have? You have to get rid of all the excuses. Somebody said I wasn't going to be, or somebody told me I couldn't have, or I came from this place and I wasn't going to be that. You have to get rid of all the excuses, all of the self judgments, all the things, your past failures, well, I failed at this and there's no way I could be. You have to get rid of it all. It doesn't matter where you came from, whether you have come from poverty or, lack or anything like that, whether you have a lot of self doubt or whatever, kill it all. Get rid of it all, because only then will you be able to move forward. Only then, you get rid of all of that doubt, that worry, the jealousy. But if you could think of every one of these things, you identify them, you can learn to overcome them. And then when you overcome them, then you really be convinced that you can do a thing. And then when you're convinced that you can do a thing, let me tell you, nothing can stop you. And I
that's
had to
right.
go through that process. I was having that self pity for myself. Well, I came from here. Nobody said I could do this. And then it was like, but I can. And then I became convinced, because that thing that was burning on the inside of me, it just wouldn't let me rest.
That's
And
right.
every excuse I tried to come up with, I was like, but I know that's not true, because
Mhm.
I've done something else, the same thing. That means I can get over it. It doesn't matter that I came from here. This is where I'm at right now, which means that there's still hope for me. And then I just became like super, like the conviction that I had to do what I want is like nothing can stop me. I'm just, I don't want to stop
That's
until
right.
I get to where I'm at. And then I'm hoping when I get to that point, then I already have another point that I'm trying to get to. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So,
Well, that's the thing. Like what you were saying, it really does make you bulletproof.
yes.
When you begin to realize that you are fully equipped to do what you have been called to do, or that you desire to do, because the desire wouldn't come to you if the how wasn't available. Like, it wouldn't even enter into your mind. It wouldn't, you wouldn't even think of it. You wouldn't even think I can do this thing if the equipping to do the thing wasn't going to be there. Okay. So
Exactly.
so so when I hear that, I think about the first time, and I think you may know her. She's on John Maxwell team. She runs the Creation Station, and she makes all kinds of, she just made this for me.
Melanie.
Yep, Melanie Massey.
Yes.
And she just made this for me for this thing. I meant to hang it up before we started, but I forgot. But here it is. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, I was sitting in her house, and this was a couple years ago, and I was really trying to get back into Think and Grow Rich, and she's walking me through the success timeline, which is something we'll talk about later in the course. And
Mhm.
I'm sitting there, and I'm like this blank sheet of paper, and I'm like, I don't have any successes. And she's like, haven't you talked about graduating from the Air Force Academy? I was like, well, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's like, well, I think that's a success. I'm like, oh, well, a lot of people go to college. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. She says, but didn't you tell me they wouldn't let you declare your major because you were black, and they said that blacks can't do physics? And I was like, well, yeah, that's what they told me. And she said, didn't you still declare that as your major anyway, and graduate as president of the physics club and do all these things? And I was like, well, yeah. She said, well, I think that's a success. And I'm telling you, I can say this to you now, but in that moment in her kitchen, or wherever we were, I think it was her kitchen, wherever we were, just looking at it, it wasn't coming to my mind. The successes that I had, they weren't coming to my mind. All I could think about were my failures.
Mm.
All I could think about were my failures. Sure, I graduated from the physics department, and yes, I got a full ride to get my master's, but I was the last person. I was the lowest person in the group. Never mind to celebrate. Hey, I was in the group, y'all. I got my free ride. Like, it's a shift in energy.
Yes.
And when we make when we when I can't speak proper English, when we make the shift in energy, we really do become bulletproof. All right, oops, we're running out of some time here. Not running out, but we're winding down to some time here. I want you to turn with me to line 201. I hope this is encouraging you today. He says here in line 201, actually, yeah, it's still 201. It's talking about Thomas Edison and how he dreamed of a lamp, and he was going, and you've all heard the story, like he what tried 5,000 different ones that didn't work, right? He stood by that dream until he made it a physical reality. Practical dreamers do not quit.
Yes.
See, our dreams usually aren't practical for a long time. And for me to say, I'm going to retire out of the Air Force and I'm going to go full-time entrepreneur with 2 kids and a husband and, in the middle of a pandemic, that's just not practical. But once you learn that you have dominion over all things, and once you learn that you have dominion over the voice of scarcity. See, I can shut the mouth of the devil because I know that the Lord has brought me through. And I know maybe you don't have the faith I've got today, but you can have faith in yourself and you can have faith in something. For me, I know I got faith in a higher power that carries me through. And that faith and that trust and that success allows me to shut the mouth of the devil when the voice of scarcity rises up. The voice of jealousy rises up. The voice of fear rises up. See, I don't have to be beholden to those things anymore. Oh, here's a good one. That I just dealt with when we were in the IMC. I was taking all these pictures, y'all. And when we're on StreamYard like this, I look so cute. And I look like I'm getting in good shape. And I was like, I took pictures with Daniela and Marissa and all these people, and they're like this big, and I'm like this big. And I was like, ooh. And that voice of judgment was about to derail me, but it was like, no, I have dominion over my own mind. And I can shut down the voice of poverty consciousness. Absolutely. Just like I shut it down, that judgment about my size, because I've been working out and I've been doing everything the doctors have told me to do, recovering from those accidents. And I will get back to where I want to get. But we have to take dominion of our mind. And we have to realize that we even have the power to do it. To get rid of the anxiety, to get rid of the resentment, to get rid of the worry, and get rid of the jealousy. Because when I realize that I've got dominion over all these things, now my dream becomes practical.
Yes.
See, the pandemic did not control my income. Them toxic people on your job, they don't control your destiny. But we think they do, and all of that stuff, that jealousy, the anxiety, the stress, all of that blocks us from being able to be convinced that we can do what we need to do because it doesn't seem practical and nobody else is doing it. But I'm telling you today, when you walk in the energy of the desire you want, all of a sudden the pieces of your dream fall into place. And when you begin to operate from this level of belief, now you're operating in an energy of expectation, and what you get back is what you're putting out there, and that's what you're going to get back.
Ooh, yes. That, and I can hear the expectation in your voice every time you said, "I'm going to get back where I was. I'm going to get back." But let me tell y'all something, okay? Don't let JJ fool you. She was cute, okay? Cute. At that IMC. I don't care who was standing next to her. I don't care how big or small they were. JJ was cute all on her own. All right. But I'm gonna go back to this expectation that I hear, in her desire to get her life back the way it was. And there's no knock on that at all. That's what she desires to do. But she was also very cute. But let me just tell you.
I was cute now. Let me tell you what, I was cute. But that was part of my journey.
Right.
See, I didn't realize, and I know we're going a little bit off script here, but
Oh,
I think this is going to help somebody today. I didn't realize that that was holding me back from the next level. And it doesn't, and you can be listening today, you can be super, super successful, but I'm telling you, there's always higher heights and there's always deeper depths. And we get somewhere, and usually if we can't get further, there's something going on in here. And for me, I had something going on when it came to my appearance and dressing and carrying myself in a way commensurate with who God has made me to be.
mm,
Because I felt like I couldn't be that person if I was this size, and I felt like other people couldn't see me that way if I was this size. But nobody's going to see you a way different than how you see you.
right.
And here I am hanging out with millionaires and people that are, they're making 7, 8, 9 figures, and I'm trying to hang with them. It's like, wait a second, there's a block. So am I negating all the success that I've done? No. Have I taught this class a million times? Sure, I have. But you know what? This is the next phase for me. This is something else I had to overcome. And you're going to find the same thing in your journey. Every time you go through this content, you're going to find something else that you're like, whoa. And then when you get it, it's going to take you to the next level. And let me tell you, Camille, I thank you so much. I was looking pretty good. I was a little bigger than I wanted to be, but I was looking good. And let me tell you, some doors opened up for me.
Yes,
Woo!
but I'm sure it wasn't because of that little bit of weight that you say that you got, because baby, wasn't nobody worried about it but you. Trust me, okay? Trust me. Doors were open because God called you, right? He qualifies the call. He don't call the qualified.
That's
You know
right.
how
That's
it
right.
goes. You know
Because
how it
really, at
goes.
the end of the day, it's about who we are.
It's who we are. Who
It's
we
about the
are.
energy that we're putting out, and I'm putting out that energy of expectation, just like you are. And
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say something about you, because I know a lot of times people get real. You know how we talked about jealousy earlier. People don't ever want to bring somebody who's accomplished and gorgeous and very good with people into their space. And I'm like, are you kidding me? She's amazing. Let's get her on here with me because she gonna bring people. I don't have time to be jealous. I don't have any time to be any of that. I'm like, she's good. Let's grab her and go until she realizes she don't need me no more. We gonna milk that friendship for all it's worth. But there are other
Lord.
people who would look at somebody as amazing as you and be like, well, I'm not going to teach with her. She's going to outshine me. And it's like, please outshine me. Because at the end of the day, they're going to my website. But at the end of the okay, that didn't come. That really meant for that to come out more funny than it was.
It was fun. I totally get it. I totally get it. But
But
that's that
seriously though,
expectation, right? That's an expectation that
it's an
we can go
expectation.
to the
You
next
grow, I
level.
grow, we all grow.
We
That's
all
why my thing
grow.
is called building wealth together.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a very, very real power of that expectation. If she would have said, hey, I'm just going to get her on here and didn't expect for us to be able to mesh well, or it probably wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? We have messages that other people need. We're learning and growing this material, this information, these ideas, these laws. They have literally changed our lives.
Yeah.
And so there's an expectation that, yes, JJ has done it a couple times, and, I haven't done it with her like this, but there's an expectation that we are going to be able to help transform people's lives through us
That's right.
teaching together.
Yeah.
Both of our
Yes.
audiences coming together. So we have to have that energy of expectation. And we talk about women, we women, always said to be carrying life. We're having these babies, we're always impregnated with these things. People can see that we're expected. And when she gives birth, we expect life. We understand that things happen, but there's an expectation that happens when we see pregnant women. And expectancy really is a good state. It
Mhm,
really
mhm.
is. And so we have to expect that the things that we want, the things not just want, because we're talking about the difference between want and desire, that
Mhm.
we desire are going to come to life, that we're going to be able to birth the ideas that we have inside of us, birth these goals that we have, the thing that God has created us to do, that it's going to come to fruition. But we have to be expectant because it carries the energy with it.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
at your departure point, what we're talking about right now, have you allowed yourself to dream and to grow beyond your fears? JJ talked about, every person has their fears. She has hers. I have mine, the things that we're insecure on. But we
Mm-hmm.
recognize those things and we say, you know what, this might be, but I understand I have tools and I'm going to grow through that. I'm not expecting to be here in the same place a year from now. I'm not
That's right.
expecting to be in the same place 6 months from now. I'm not expecting to be in the same place 3 months from now. I have an expectation that my life is going to change, that these principles are working, that God is working in my life, and that I have this. So, with this expectation, there's also going to be I'm doing, I'm
That's
starting,
right.
I'm
That's right.
being, I am. And I'm growing beyond all of that self judgment, that self doubt, that worry, that anxiety, all those things, the poverty consciousness, scarcity, not my watchwords anymore. I'm growing past that, going past that, because I have an expectation that my life is going to change. And it is changing every single day.
Yes,
Every
it
single day.
is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's one of the things that I love with this collaboration, because the thing is, we we talk about having potential. We talk about moving past the present circumstances and conditions and really looking forward according to our purpose and looking forward according to the dream. And I've heard a lot of people that kind of equate it to being the oak and the acorn, right? And people say, well, the oak is in the acorn. And honestly, the oak is not in the acorn. What's in the acorn is all of the things that seed needs to become an oak. And I want to go back to this is in the introduction. So if you've got the book or if you've got the PDF, I want you to go back to the introduction. But this is in line 59, 58. It says, when the opportunity came, and this is for talking about Barnes, who was trying to work with Edison. When the opportunity came, it appeared in different form and from a different direction than Barnes had expected. That is one of the tricks of opportunity. It has a sly habit of slipping in by the back door and often comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary defeat. Perhaps this is why so many fail to recognize opportunity.
Yes.
And
Yes.
whatever you're facing today, I want you to know that your challenges really are opportunities if you will harness the principles that we're giving here. Going back to the chapter on desire, I'm in line 223. It says, the greatest achievement was at first and for a time but a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg, and in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. Dreams are the seedlings of reality. And so, in that dream may not be the reality, but in that dream is everything that you need. If you will combine that with your desire, is everything that you need to go out and bring it to pass. I love this here. He says, awake, arise, and assert yourself, you dreamers of the world. Your star is now in the ascendancy. The world depression brought the opportunity you have been waiting for. It taught people humility, tolerance, and open-mindedness. Now, stop for a second and think about when he wrote this. He wrote this right after he was researching it during the Great Depression, but it was published, I think it was 1937.
37.
Yeah. And 1936, it was right after the market has crashed. And he's saying this whole market crash, this whole economy crash, all of this stuff that's going on right now, guess what it's doing? It is giving you an opportunity. It is giving you an opportunity to make this dream of yours become a reality. Don't miss this opportunity. Desire it with all of your heart so that you can move forward. Okay? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
One thing I want to read before we get out of here, which I thought, I know we're wrapping up here, but in line 242 to 245, it says, remember too, that all who succeed in life got off to a bad start and passed through many heartbreaking struggles before they arrive. The turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually comes at the moment of some crisis through which they are introduced to their other selves. So,
Mm-hmm.
the most successful people, there has to come a turning point in their lives where they say, you know what? I don't want this anymore. And then they see that potential. It rises. They have expectancy that something else will be different, even in the midst of the depression. You know, there were some people who were highly successful, and he outlines that in his book, but it was at that turning point, excuse me, of crisis that they say, you know what? I can even either swim with the fish or I could rise with the eagles,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Mm-hmm.
choose to soar. And they made a conscious decision to
Yes.
soar with the eagles, to change and to discover the potential, discover their other selves, discover all of the things, the opportunities that were in front of them for them to be able to succeed. And folks out there, that too can be you.
Yes. 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 Now, if this teaching tonight has blessed your soul, I want you to go right now and take the first step to achieving your dream, which is to get into the rest of this class. We're going to be here with you every Wednesday night for the next for 7 more weeks for that. So it's an 8 we're doing a 7 8 week thing. But the thing is, for me, I don't want you to miss all of the extra goodness that is going to be in this class, because you have been struggling for so long and you have been doing for somebody else for so long. It's time for you to take action for you. It's time to transcend your want. It's time to stop struggling so hard from a position of scarcity and to start operating in the flow of a position of prosperity. We can help you do that. And as we go through this course, you are going to see changes in your life. And every time that you go through this course, you are going to come to higher and higher heights.
Yes.
I want to thank you all for being here with us today. And I especially want to thank Camille for being a part of our launch this class this fall. This class, I didn't tell you this, but this class really means a lot to me, because the last time I taught it was that time when I called my father in the middle of it to tell him I loved him, and I never spoke to him again because he passed away before I taught the next class. So this particular class, it's been a little while since I've taught it, and I feel in my heart that the time is right. It is time out for playing small. It's time out for living according to everybody else's dream. It's time for you to achieve your dream. And I'm going to tell you, me and Camille, we believe in you and we believe in your dream. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and be blessed.